Your favorite foods have secretly changed, from snacks sneakily changing their ingredients resulting in a way worse taste, to fast food companies making big changes without telling you, and even food brands flat out tricking you by giving you less product. One of the most outrageous food changes ever seen has to be Nutella. You may have noticed Nutella is now lighter in color. Well, it's not just the color that's changed. You see, Nutella now has way more sugar, as well as more powdered milk, giving it a lighter, more artificial color and taste. Not only does this reduce the quality, it makes it more unhealthy too. When Nutella fans noticed, they were very upset. In response, Nutella hit back saying the quality is the same. But many long-term Nutella fans simply don't agree. Many complain the taste is now off. Not to mention, all that extra sugar is very bad for you. Nutella did this to save on cocoa, which is getting more and more expensive. So they sacrificed their product's taste to save money. As if that wasn't bad enough, Nutella jars are getting smaller. They used to be 400 grams, but now they're only 350. So not only is new Nutella worse, you're getting less of it. Another outrageous food change is Pringles. For a long time, Pringles were the goat of all chips. Unlike most other chip companies, Pringles would never sell you air. But don't for a second think Pringles are angels. They have recently made some very sneaky changes. People have noticed Pringles have been getting smaller. Another person recently bought a tube of Pringles which was a third empty. Also, if you've noticed your hand getting stuck in Pringles tubes recently, it's not you. Pringles cans have actually shrunk, going from 148 grams to a pathetic 134 grams. The new tubes are so small they fit inside the old ones. Also, Pringles are now mostly not potato. They're only 40% potato, with the rest being cheaper starches. Another favorite snack which has sneakily changed is Twinkies. Twinkies are an American staple, a golden sponge cake with a creamy filling. In 2012, Twinkies were discontinued. This was after the company that made them, Hostess, went bankrupt. However, after much outcry and sadness, Twinkies made a comeback 1 year later. This was after Hostess was purchased by a Wall Street investment company. But when Twinkies came back, many noticed something was seriously wrong. People pointed out the cakes were now smaller and drier, and the creamy filling no longer tasted fresh. Hostess later admitted they changed the recipe, making them smaller and extending their shelf life. They added more preservatives, making Twinkies even more unhealthy, and of course making the taste way worse. If you thought drinks were safe from being secretly changed, then think again. Gatorade has recently been exposed for hitting their product with a shrink ray, giving you less drink for more money. Their new bottles have resulted in a 14% decrease in fluid. Deceptively, they're the same height, so on a store shelf they look the same as normal, but the sides are now far thinner. Gatorade said they did this so the bottles were easier to hold, but this is a pretty bad excuse, seeing as they're now giving you 28 ounces instead of the old 32. And surprisingly, the price has increased. The new bottle shape literally tricked us into paying more for less. I guess that's why Gatorade's owner, PepsiCo, is such a big company. Sorry kids, that's just business. An even more egregious food change comes from Toblerone. Let's start with the obvious. The gaps in between Toblerones have got way bigger. The space in between the triangles is double what it used to be, and the triangles themselves are now way smaller, and you'd better believe the price has increased. Toblerones used to weigh 400 grams, but they now weigh 360 grams. If they keep doing this, we won't have any triangles left. These changes reduce Toblerone's cost by 10%. Not for you, but for the company. Sneakily, Toblerone kept their packaging the same size, meaning there's no way to spot these changes before buying and unwrapping one. But that's not all. Toblerone can no longer legally say they're Swiss made, because some Toblerone bars are now made in Slovakia instead. Thanks to Swiss law, this meant Toblerone had to change their logo, swapping the famous Matterhorn mountain design for a generic mountain. With all these changes, is Toblerone even Toblerone anymore? It's easier to spot changes in foods you buy off a shelf. After all, the ingredients are printed on the back. But when you look at restaurant food, changes get harder to spot. But we do know McDonald's has made some massive changes. McDonald's fries used to be cooked in beef tallow. They now cook their fries in vegetable oil. While this made vegetarians happy, many old heads say they now dislike McDonald's fries. It's also said McDonald's gives you less fries. Instead of filling up the box, it's now sometimes not even halfway full. McDonald's have also been making their beef patties way thinner. It's got so bad, their pickles are now thicker than their patties. They've also shrunk in size. Yeah, maybe they need to rename the Big Mac to something more appropriate. McDonald's cheese slices are also getting smaller. McDonald's McDonald's also changed their apple pies, switching from the classic deep-fried version to this new baked version, which contains fewer ingredients. McDonald's have also reduced the size of their burger buns, going from 4.5 inches to 4 inches, which is why so many fillings now fall out of your burger. An even worse change comes from Fanta. Many say Fanta's new flavor no longer has that sweet orange taste, and there's a good reason for this. To avoid a sugar tax, Fanta changed their recipe in many countries, replacing the sugar with artificial sweeteners. Like Gatorade did, Fanta tried to smooth things over with a new bottle, but customers weren't fooled, with many saying it now has a nasty aftertaste, which is common with artificial sweeteners. But despite all the complaints, Fanta say they won't be going back to the all-sugar version. Have you noticed your Lucky Charms are a bit less lucky recently? Well, you're not alone. People have noticed Lucky Charms now gives you less charms. This is because the oat and corn rings are cheaper for them to make. Not only that, their boxes are getting smaller. They used to give you 547 grams, but now you'll only get 513 grams. Cocoa Puffs increased their box size, but don't get too excited. They've shrunk by the same size as Lucky Charms. The only difference is they made their boxes taller and thinner, making people think they're getting more when really they're getting less. And if that wasn't bad enough, Cinnamon Toast Crunch did the exact same thing. Don't trust these cereals. A food change that got people even more mad was that of Cadbury's cream eggs. The chocolate was swapped from dairy milk chocolate to a cheaper and less nice tasting Cocoa Mix chocolate. Many people say the taste is now very cheap, and the outcry from this led to Cadbury's losing millions of dollars both in the US and UK. Hopefully they'll think twice before messing with people's cream eggs now. But an even more scandalous food change comes from Subway. Subway may seem healthy, but it really isn't. Subway used to add a chemical named azodicarbonamide into their bread. This harmful chemical is also used in rubber shoe soles and yoga mats. People were pretty upset when they figured out they were eating yoga mat subs. Not to mention inhaling too much of the chemical can cause asthma. Subway used it as a cheap way to increase the size of the bread they were baking. But when a food blogger found out, they launched a petition telling Subway to remove the chemical or else. And unlike most petitions, this one was actually successful, with Subway removing the chemical. But if you think that's bad, as of 2020, Subway bread is no longer legally bread. To make up for the chemicals they've removed, Subway's bread is now 10% sugar. To be legally classified as bread, it needs to be under 2% sugar, meaning that legally Subway's bread is a confectionery. So yeah, it's basically a cake. This is also why Subway's bread has that distinctive smell. So next time you think you're being healthy going into a Subway, think again. Another fast food restaurant which has made a big change is Taco Bell. You may have noticed Taco Bell's cheese sauce is no longer that bright yellow color. That's because they've removed the dye Yellow 6 and replaced it with natural dyes like turmeric. Many say the taste is now less good. That may be the case, but it likely is healthier. Another food item which has changed in a very sneaky way is gum. You may have noticed many chewing gum brands have replaced one of their gums with a thumb grip, solving a problem that never existed. I mean, who has a problem holding their chewing gum? Of course, the gum companies didn't do this for your convenience, but instead to save themselves money. That one less gum saves the companies a few pennies every sale. Multiply that by millions and billions and it adds up, saving the gum companies money, but robbing you of 1 or 2 pieces of gum. Even chewing gums that don't come in plastic pouches are getting smaller. So much for that value pack. Have you guys noticed any other food changes? Let me know in the comments down below. Also subscribe and check out this video. I think you're gonna like it.